The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army. And now, ladies and gentlemen,
You're now about to witness the truth.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am, of course, your host, Benjamin Dixon. It is Wednesday night. No, man, I'm looking towards Friday. Today is only Tuesday, May 24th, 2016. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't take it for granted. I appreciate everyone who tunes in. I appreciate everyone who calls in. I actually had someone from Columbus, Ohio call in before the show even started and wanted to wait on hold just so they can join the conversation. You can join the conversation live. I am going to clear the lines for my dude from Columbus. He's trying to get in, but I want everyone to feel free to join the conversation. 857-600-0518. I've got a lot of ground to cover tonight and not much time to cover it in. I want to talk about Donald Trump and his attack lines that might actually work. It's a little unnerving when you see his approach. As a matter of fact, there was a Salon article today basically begging the media to not allow Donald Trump's approach to work, or not to give voice to Donald Trump's approach, particularly the approach of him attacking Bill Clinton and his gallivanting, his sexual gallivanting. I'm trying to find my notes on that so I can give the author of the Salon article credit, Sean Illing. Sean Illing wrote an article over there on Salon basically saying, the title is, "It Must Stop Now. The media can't allow Trump to make this election about Bill Clinton." Well, here's the problem, Sean. Hillary Clinton has made a lot of this election about Bill Clinton. In fact, she said she's gonna put him in charge of the economy because he knows how to get it done. Bill Clinton is her number one surrogate in chief. So in all fairness, in all sincerity, I don't think that there's much that you can do to stop this from being about Bill Clinton, particularly because Bill Clinton is so vulnerable on so many issues. And I want to play a clip of how Donald Trump is going for blood from Bill Clinton. So on the radio show, I want you guys to just listen in. This is a video. What you're going to hear is a series of voice recordings of alleged victims of Bill Clinton. In the background, you see an anonymous picture of Bill Clinton smoking a cigar with the White House in the backdrop. And at the end, you're going to hear Hillary Clinton's laughter. It's something to see. Let's see if I can trigger this correctly. Here we go.
I was very nervous.
No woman should be subjected to it. It was an assault.
He starts to bite on my top lip, and I try to pull away from him.
It's so quick, you really can't get the effect of it. It's a Vine video. And they asked the question. Matter of fact, it's so quick. Let me play it again. It is actually rather effective, if you ask me. So listen closely.
I was very nervous.
No woman should be subjected to it. It was an assault.
He starts to bite on my top lip, and I try to pull away from him.
Here we go again. And then Trump, make America great again. All right. So the article says, let's not allow Trump to get away with this. Here's the problem. There's two problems with that request. And one, the request in general, right? In American politics, the only thing that's off limits are children. And you can see that that's not always observed with Malia and Sasha Obama. But the children are the primary things that are off the table. in terms of criticism. The spouse is always on the table. Hell, you couldn't even, Michelle Obama couldn't even say that she was proud of America for the first time in her life, in her adult life, without everyone losing their minds. So good luck with the request. And then two, it's actually three things that is a problem. This type of request is censorship. This is fair game. These are actions that he took while allegedly took, and some, with Monica Lewinsky is confirmed that this took place while he was in elected office. And whether he was a governor of Arkansas or whether he was the president of the United States, these are things that are baggage for Bill Clinton and therefore baggage for Hillary Clinton. If Hillary Clinton was not using Bill Clinton and did not have him on display on a regular basis, then I can understand the argument that this is below the belt. But Bill Clinton is in play on a regular basis, and Donald Trump knows this, so Donald Trump is going for the jugular. Now, let me tell you something. I don't agree with much of anything, if anything, that Donald Trump actually says or stands for, because a lot of the things that he says that I think I might agree with, I can't believe him on it because he just blows with the wind. But Glenn Greenwald from The Intercept, he actually made a great post today on Twitter that's worth repeating. He said that because I bring criticism to Hillary Clinton does not mean I support Donald Trump. I do not support Donald Trump. However, this attack ad from Donald Trump is going to be very, very effective. And I think the Clintons and the Clinton team, the DNC, they're not prepared for that, nor are they prepared for this.
On foreign policy, Hillary is trigger happy. She is. She's trigger happy. She's got a bad temperament. You look what she did. Look at this. I just wrote this down. Iraq. Libya. She voted. Iraq. Let's go into Iraq. I voted against it, except I was a civilian, so nobody cared. From the beginning, I said it's going to destabilize the Middle East, and Iran will take over Iraq. For years they've been trying to get Iraq, and Iraq has been trying to get Iran. We decimated that country's military. And now the country's a mess. And what we did is we got ISIS. They got oil. Her decisions in Iraq, Syria, Egypt, Libya have cost trillions of dollars, thousands of lives, and have totally unleashed ISIS. Now
watch this. I have to jump in here. I want to jump in here and talk about this a little bit. I intentionally, and it's bad on me, I intentionally ignored this clip for a couple of days. This is Donald Trump at a rally where he's hammering Hillary Clinton from the left. And he's actually saying things that, regardless of if he flips on it, which he probably will be just as much of a war hawk as anyone who's elected. America is a war hawk nation. Let's just put that in the conversation. So, but regardless of what he flips on, if he gets elected, the fact of the matter is this is a critique of Hillary Clinton that is seldom even mentioned by Bernie Sanders. And this is a place where Donald Trump is going to move to the left of Hillary Clinton in a general election. And she is extremely weak in this area because of all of her baggage. Let's forget Bill Clinton at this point. Donald Trump is going after Bill, and he's going directly after Hillary Clinton, particularly on her trigger happy foreign policy. Now, I think this clip is maybe a week old, but like I said, I ignored it because it's Donald Trump, and you can't really take him for much of anything that he says. You can't really take him at his word. However, when you see the 1-2 punch of what he's going to do against Bill Clinton and you see what he's going to do against Hillary Clinton, we are in trouble. And and people are expecting us to just pound the war cry for Hillary Clinton. People are expecting us to just say, oh, well, let's just support Hillary Clinton no matter what. And it's not even about that. You have to realize that at some point your candidate is just weak and your candidate is vulnerable. And and when I say we, I mean people who are not Republican, right? I can't say liberals, I can't say progressives, I can't say Democrats, because there's just a lot of people who are not Republican who make up a broad spectrum of political ideologies and beliefs. But the consensus generally is we're not as crazy as Republicans, and sometimes that's used against us. But we have, at this point, they're asking people who are not Republicans to just pound the war drums for Hillary Clinton and beat back against Donald Trump. Here's the problem. What do you do to beat back against this narrative? How do you find an opposition position against Donald Trump on war when he is to the left of Hillary Clinton on war? The only thing that you can hope for is to say that he's lying and he's not going to live up to it. But in terms of the words that are coming out of his mouth, how do you find a position of opposition against Donald Trump? I am mighty afraid that a lot of people are going to start arguing from the right of Donald Trump on war. And another thing, I'm going to finish playing this clip if I can get it to start in the right place. Another thing is he has the audience's undivided attention. He has the complete control over his audience and over the Republican Party. They are listening to him, and he is able to take the Republican Party anywhere he wants to take them because he's in charge now. And what's going to end up happening is he's going to make the Republican Party, if this plays out the way it would normally would politically, he's going to make the Republican Party to the left of the Democrats' on foreign policy. Now, what kind of crazy insanity world do we live in when we have a Democratic candidate who is the hawk and a Republican candidate who is a dove, ostensibly a dove if you take him at his word? Let me finish playing this clip. Here we go. Donald Trump and his policy positions on foreign policy.
Millions. You know, they bomb a city. I watch it. They bomb a city.
Hang on, I got to take it back because you missed something that was very important. Let's start here.
Millions. You know, they're ISIS. Now, thousands of lives, yes, for us, but probably millions of lives, in all fairness, folks, okay? Probably millions. You know, there is another side to this story. Millions of lives, millions. You know, they bomb a city. I watch it. They bomb a city, and you go and you see this city that's obliterated, right? Obliterated. We started this. Obama couldn't get us out properly, but we started this. Now it's a total mess. If nothing would have happened, we would have been far better off than we are now. We spent $4 trillion, but they bomb a city. I'm pretty good at this stuff, and I look, and there's practically nothing. These buildings, 4 or 5 story buildings, they're just laying, and they'll say, nobody was killed. Nobody was killed. I'll bet you thousands and thousands of people were killed every time you see that television set.
That's insane. This is insane. Because when is the last time you heard a Democratic politician of any national stature actually, besides Bernie Sanders, actually discuss the other side of the equation, where we are mourning the loss of thousands of soldiers, and here Donald Trump is arguing from the left of Hillary Clinton, saying that we're forgetting about the millions of people in the Middle East that we're responsible for killing, or because of the destabilization that we brought to the region and the ensuing civil wars, we have an extension of responsibility in the millions of lives. He's actually getting the Republican Party to consider the ramifications of war, and we don't even have this happening on the left. And again, by the left, I'm broadly defining it as people who aren't Republican, all right? So that nobody gets that misconstrued. I'm not mixing up, last time I'm giving that disclaimer. But who do we have on the left besides Bernie Sanders on a national platform? I know there's some other local politicians and some congressmen, but on a national platform, who do we have that would acknowledge what Donald Trump just acknowledged, that there are millions of people on the other side of the equation that are getting killed? And what's refreshingly terrifying, right? It's refreshing and it's terrifying. It's refreshing that he's getting the attention of Republicans to consider Muslim lives, because overwhelmingly these are Muslim people he's referring to. That blows me away. That's refreshing. And it's also terrifying because they are going to take up the left position on war against Hillary Clinton. Why? Because they can. Why? Because Hillary Clinton is a war hawk. Her email transcripts show us that. Her votes show us that. her communications from her supporters, not her supporters, but her staff members, saying everything about Hillary Clinton shows that she is more hawkish. And I am terrified of the notion that, and not terrified, no, I'm not. I think it's fascinating, to be quite honest with you. It is extremely fascinating to see that the Republican Party is poised to take up the left argument on foreign policy. That, my friends, that is an amazing notion. So these are two lines of attack that are coming from Donald Trump, and I absolutely do not think that the Democratic Party, particularly Hillary Clinton, is prepared to handle the onslaught that Donald Trump is going to bring against Bill Clinton, and the onslaught that Donald Trump is going to bring on her foreign policy. And wait till he starts talking about economic policy and actually appealing to those white working class voters who have been hurt by NAFTA, right, and who could be hurt by the TPP and hurt by all of the neoliberal economic policies that the Clinton administration claims actually helped the boom, right? Wait till he attacks that. Those same voters that the Democrats are trying to throw under the bus right now and say, we basically don't want you anymore, go the way of the dinosaurs, right? Donald Trump is about to come. He's about to argue from the left on everything. And you know what? Regardless of how he decides to administrate, if he wins, the reality of it is this is not a conversation that Hillary Clinton can win. She can't run further left than him. And you're going to see, mark my word, you're going to see people start making justifications and trying to rationalize also that they can find an opposition position to distinguish themselves from Donald Trump. They're not going to try to outrun to the left because with Hillary Clinton, they can't. This is a crazy time in which we live. Let's take caller. My dude from Columbus, I believe this is you. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Howdy, from Columbus.
Hey, man, how's it going? Thanks for your patience and your effort to get on the line, man. What's on your mind?
I'm good. What Donald Trump is doing right here, it's not really surprising to me. Ron Paul basically did the exact same thing in 2008 and 2012, and the Republican Party laughed at him, treated him basically like the Democratic Party is treating Bernie Sanders and his supporters. And you know who's at fault for the reason why he's able to do this? The modern American left. Yeah, the American left is responsible for this. When you basically use identity politics to, fight back, to cover up your support of neoliberalism and treat your supporters like shit, and, you don't fight for the issues that they care about, what do you think is going to happen? And so, even though Bernie Sanders himself supported the military-industrial complex, he would still be able to argue from a leftist position. But the problem is that had he would have been able to have been a nominee, the left has already shown its ass in this election. And I don't know if you've seen this. It's this blog. I think it's called Shadowproof. And they were talking about your interview with Rania Khalek is her name, I think her name was. Yeah. And they're talking about how the dissent between the young left and the more institutional left, these people have their careers involved and they're more worried about, their position and the support of neoliberalism. And my issue with that is like, and this is where I even fought the radical left too. They say, well, where are the Sanders supporters going to go in this instance? Well, one of two things. They're going to go to Gary Johnson, the libertarian candidate, because he's at least going to argue from anti-war position. A few of them might go to Donald Trump, or a few of them might just sit out. But so much stuff has just, it's gotten too much to this point with the whole Nevada caucus situation, the disrespect, the whole Bernie Bros myth. They've really been disrespected, and you would think that they would have at least a place to go in the radical left, including the Green Party. They've disparaged them so much that, with their whole smug attitude this election about what this candidacy of Bernie Sanders has the opportunity it's given, that is like, you know what, fuck these people. I don't want, because they don't give a damn about my issues either. Or they at least think that I'm too dumb enough to understand it. But check that Shadowproof article out. And the last thing I'll say is, I don't know if you saw Donald Trump's advisor. His name is Stephen Miller.
Mm-hmm.
He said that the Democrat, he said, I feel sorry for Bernie Sanders supporters because the Democratic Party is putting up the most pro-war, pro-Wall Street establishment candidate. And I said to myself, if they put more surrogates up there like him, it'll be a damn shame, and it'll be the left's fault on this one. But peace out, man. Love the show. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate it. I appreciate that. 857-600-0518 if you want to join the conversation on this. I agree with just about everything that you said there. It's a shame. It's a shame that the left, and there's too many, I can't say there's too many divisions, but there's enough divisions such that we cannot capitalize on this moment. If there had been more support from the left, the radical left in particular, we could have seen some better results. But this is the fact that Donald Trump is able to argue from the left of Hillary Clinton and from the left of the Democratic Party in general on war. One, it tells you that parties are malleable. They are not static. So please, anyone who's actually arguing that this party is, that you should just remain loyal to a party, no, because parties change their minds. Ideologies don't change. People change their ideologies to fit the moment. And right now, somebody like Hillary Clinton and her surrogates, they are going to start justifying the war in these debates so that they can delineate themselves from Donald Trump, and voila, you've got a realignment on foreign policy, at least for the next 4 years. Maybe they'll get, undo the damage that Donald Trump is doing to the Republican ideology after 4 years. But I say it like this because these are brilliant techniques. These are amazing techniques against Hillary Clinton. And this puts Donald Trump in a stronger position, especially if you look at his current polling. He is I told you he is going to start shifting back to the left because he is not just he's not a plant to help Hillary Clinton win. He is an egomaniacal, I almost said a sadist, but he is a sociopath who wants to be president. And the correct political move is to run as far to the right and do whatever and say whatever those rabid people on the right want in the primaries. And that's how he blew it out of the water. And now to win, he is dragging all of them back to the left. And he is sounding more reasonable on foreign policy than Hillary Clinton can ever hope to sound. And the only thing, there's only one other thing that Hillary Clinton can do to survive this, and that is to try to make Donald Trump look feckless on foreign policy and try to make herself look extremely intelligent on foreign policy. That does not stop his critique, but if she can expose how incoherent his foreign policy would be in the current paradigm and the current framework for which you and I probably think it sucks. But as long as she can show that Donald Trump is a buffoon on foreign policy, then she might survive this. But if this man beefs up his foreign policy credentials and attacks Hillary Clinton, and not credentials, but knowledge, and then attacks Hillary Clinton from the left, game over, folks. You're looking at President Donald Trump, and it's nobody's fault but the Democratic Party and this new neoliberal left. Nobody's fault. Don't blame the Bernie bros. It's your fault. All right. Let me take one more caller on this topic because I'm pretty sure they want to talk about this topic. And then I want to talk about Dylan Roof and Terry McAuliffe. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question? This is you, caller. You are live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, Ben, this is Brent in Dallas.
Hey,
How are
Brent.
you, sir?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for the call.
Hey, no problem. Pleasure to talk to you again. Congrats on the iHeartRadio thing.
Thanks,
that's
man.
pretty big.
Appreciate it.
Hey, kind of to piggyback off this, and I just jumped in a little bit late, but today I was thinking about, how the GOP was a laughing stock.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're crumbling. They're going to be gone. They're a joke. And I don't hear much of that now. Do you think the Democrats kind of saved their ass? Where the GOP was, going to crumble, and now you got people that are looking at party divided. The Democrats going against the Republicans, who really probably won't lead that party, in my opinion.
Here's the thing, man. Listen, let me tell you, we were laughing at the Republicans, but they didn't see what I saw and what a lot of you guys saw from the very beginning, that the same divide existed in the Democratic side of the equation, that there was a tremendous divide. And the only reason that it wasn't so obvious was because of their consistent attempts to coronate Hillary Clinton. It gave the appearance of party unity through the primaries, when in actuality it was a dead carcass of just a party divided, trying to ram a candidate that really no one in America wants down our throats, suppressing a progressive movement, which exacerbated the problem, right? So we were laughing at the Republicans, and we snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory. This could have been an easy destruction of the Republican Party in a significant way, right? They would never have disappeared completely, but they could have gone off the map for a little while, especially with Donald Trump at the helm. But Donald Trump, being a smart enough man to put smart people around him to play this political game decently, understood that now he can outflank Hillary Clinton from the left. And so he no longer has to be the buffoon. He simply has to play good politics. And he's starting to do that. That is terrifying. And so now we're faced with an option of a man who's obviously unstable, right? Donald Trump is just obviously not stable, but he is going to play this game because he played the Republican side of the equation so well. Thanks for the call, man. He played the Republican side of the equation so well that they couldn't stop him. So why in the earth do we think for one moment he's not going to play the game of the general election just as good? And I'm sorry if you want me to just say, oh, Donald Trump is a sexist, misogynist, racist bastard, right? You want me to say that. But the reality of it is, me saying that would be far more irresponsible than me showing you where we are the most vulnerable. We are vulnerable on foreign policy with a candidate like Hillary Clinton, and we are vulnerable on economic policy with a candidate like Hillary Clinton, and we are vulnerable, believe it or not, because of Bill Clinton. We are vulnerable from just a moral perspective. And so if you want somebody to just say, hey, Donald Trump, go to hell, Donald Trump, you're what's this tweet from my girl, and I'm sorry, that's a colloquial. Sorry, my woman. Or no, that's even worse. Somebody I admire and am upset with. There's a tweet from Elizabeth Warren again, going after Donald Trump about being a small man and saying if you want somebody who's just going to beat the war drums, go see Elizabeth Warren. But she's not going to expose the reality that we are extremely vulnerable. And when I say we, it's everybody who thinks Donald Trump would be a nightmare. And that includes some Republicans. And now we don't even have a candidate who's insulated from that insanity. Imagine, and I got to get off Donald Trump because I got a lot to talk about tonight. But imagine his only attack against Bernie Sanders being the Red Scare. He would have to go back to the right on everything to make sure he fuels enough Red Scare to drum up enough support. But because he's potentially not going up against Bernie Sanders. We'll see how California pans out. Make sure I think the deadline is tonight at midnight. Make sure you register to vote. But because he may not be going against Bernie Sanders and he gets to go up against somebody like Hillary Clinton, he understands that he can corner her from every side of the chessboard, and he can do it for the next 5 months. And you think that the stuff that he said in January is going to make a hill of a beans difference? God, I went back to the old school on hill of beans. Do you think it's going to make a hill of bean of difference for people who are just tuning in come August? All right, enough about that. Let's talk about these endorsements from let's talk about these endorsements of Bernie Sanders, of 8 state level candidates. And I'm pulling it up on your screen now. These candidates in not in particular order of their name as you see them on the screen, but Bernie Sanders sent out an email, a fundraising emails outlining 8 progressive candidates that he believed his supporters should then in turn support. They included Justin Bamberg, state representative from South Carolina. He's up for re-election. David Bauer, running for a second term in Wisconsin. Clara Hart, a refugee from Mozambique whose family fled violence when she was 8 years old. She's running for a South Dakota House. Terry Alexander, South Carolina representative. Carol Ammons, running for Illinois State Legislature. Chris Pearson of Vermont, he's running for state Senate there. Jane Kim is the Korean American running for California State Senator. And Joe Salazar is running for Colorado State House. These are 8 candidates that Bernie Sanders sent out a fundraising campaign to support, which is he's helping down ballot tickets. The thing is, he's not helping the down ballot tickets that everyone approves of. But here are 8 candidates that are running for office. This is in addition to Lucy Flores of Nevada. I'm not going to pronounce Promda's J-Appel from Washington and Zypher Teachout from New York. Those are 3 other campaigns that he endorsed earlier in the year. And the one that is causing him the most grief is his endorsement of Tim Canova of Florida. Tim Canova is running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who is the DNC chairwoman. She has been mired in a lot of controversy because of her actions, because of things that she did with the scheduling of the debates, with the things that she did with, the litany of things that people have complained about, being a vocal supporter, indeed, of Hillary Clinton, despite trying to say to the contrary that she's unbiased. Right. Her actions have convinced quite a few people that she is indeed a supporter of Hillary Clinton. And it only makes sense. Right. She was I believe she was a nationwide chairwoman of Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2008. Right. So she has always been a long supporter of Hillary Clinton. She's the DNC chair now. Tim Canova of South Florida, I believe he's a law professor at Nova University right there in Davie, Florida. He is primarying Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Now, in politics, in the political world, primary is about the dirtiest word that you can say, right? See my deleted tweet, the one tweet that I ever deleted about primarying a certain senator that I won't call her name. But if you say primary, all of a sudden you are like the devil in political terms. He, meaning Bernie Sanders, came out in support of Tim Canova, sent out an email, and I believe in a matter of a weekend raised Tim Canova $250,000. So first of all, here's to Bernie Sanders' fundraising prowess and his support of down ballot tickets, right? I just want to put a plug here for Alex Law. Bernie Sanders, your team, take a look at Alex Law of New Jersey. I think he's also a great candidate for you to consider, but I digress. So here's the thing. Bernie Sanders has endorsed all of these wonderful candidates, and he is catching hell from every side of the equation because he had the nerve to endorse a candidate who is primarying Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who I think most people at this point are realizing she is either just incompetent at her job or a liar. And these are really your only two options, right? Either she, particularly with the debate schedule, that's just one of the many things, right? So there's also an article that just came out this evening on The Hill discussing that there are other Democrats who are considering that Debbie Wasserman Schultz needs to step down as the chairwoman of the DNC. And I'm reading a quote from The Hill. There have been a lot of meetings over the last 48 hours about what color plate do we deliver Hillary. I'm sorry. I'm reading this for the first time, and this shit is hilarious. Okay. There have been a lot of meetings over the past 48 hours about what color plate do we deliver Debbie Wasserman Schultz head on, said one pro-Clinton Democrat senator. I don't see how we can continue to the election. How can she open the conversation? Sanders supporters would go nuts, said the lawmaker, who requested anonymity because of the sensitive nature of the discussions. A senior Senate Democrat aide said, there's a strong sentiment that the current situation is untenable and can only be fixed by her leaving. There's too much water under the bridge for her to be a neutral arbiter. Arguments against it is, I think Debbie Wasserman Schultz has done a great job, blah, 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 blah. I don't care about the arguments against it because you're going to see plenty of those in the next 24 hours in order to defend Debbie Wasserman Schultz. But this is the Debbie Wasserman Schultz for which Bernie Sanders endorsed Tim Canova in a primary. So she's not only mired in her job as the DNC chairwoman, but she's also in this fight for her seat. I believe, I forgot what seat. I used to know those seats in Florida so well, but it's in South Florida, the Davie area. Tim Canova is running against her. He's run $250,000. And the establishment, some establishment players are just appalled that Bernie Sanders has the nerve to support someone primarying another Democrat, because it doesn't matter that she's not doing a good job. Bernie Sanders touched the holy grail, apparently, and is doing something that they just feel is an anathema to Democratic politics. And that tells you a big part of the problem. I almost lied and said I was watching Rachel Maddow. I wasn't watching Rachel Maddow. It actually came in my timeline on Twitter, and I want to share, I was going to say the 22nd district. Thank you, David. It is the 23rd congressional district. I was close. I should have just said 22nd. I would have been one off. But anyway, last night on the Rachel Maddow show, Rachel Maddow said this. Let me pull it up on your screen. There's nothing. This is Rachel Maddow reporting last night. There's nothing that members of Congress hate more than a primary challenge from their own party. And Democrats supporting primary challengers to try to turf their own candidate colleagues out of their congressional seats. That's not like putting a whoopee cushion in somebody's seat. Ha, ha, ha. That's like slashing somebody's tires in the political terms. That's serious. You're a sitting Democratic member of Congress, and you're going to support a primary challenge to another sitting Democratic member of Congress? And then, of course, she gave the world famous Rachel Maddow look of disgust and "are you kidding me" towards Bernie Sanders, because he had the nerve to endorse and support a person primarying a current sitting member of Congress. Here's the problem with this entire conversation. Our loyalty cannot be to a person simply because they're holding a seat. It cannot. Our loyalty has to be to the people and the policies. And once you get into this thing, and I would love, trust me, I would love to play the clip for you, but MSNBC has some kind of deal with the devil with YouTube. If you play some shit from MSNBC, you're going to get flagged and it's going to get taken down. So I can't play the clip, but I hope I conveyed her smugness on this particular, and I like Rachel Maddow, right? But I'm going to call a spade a spade. She's smugly endorsing this idea that we should be faithful to candidates regardless of their bad policies, regardless of their unbiasedness, regardless of the mistakes that they made. We should not dare ever consider primarying them. That is exactly the type of mentality that has got this Democratic Party into this, I'm sorry, I don't have another better word, but this shitstorm of stupidity that we're facing right now. because we have a lot of Democratic candidates who are free to do all types of asinine things that go against our progressive ideologies and even just some general liberal and progressive policies like the North Carolina HB2. You had 11 Democrats support that. And now my question to Rachel Maddow is, should we also not even consider primarying the people from North Carolina that supported HB2? I'm sorry. Does it hurt your feelings? Does it hurt their feelings? Do they feel insulted that someone had the nerve? It's time for people to have the nerve to primary some of these people. Because if you have, I know from Florida, a list, as I blow my speaker out, I know a list of congressmen and congresswomen who are simply resting on their laurels, not doing a damn thing for their district. But people have it in their minds that the worst thing that we could do is challenge them. And because of that, they sit in these seats for 25, 30, until the point where they can't even walk. They're too old and they have to die. Do we have to wait for Debbie Wasserman Schultz to get so old before someone can challenge her? Or do we have to wait until she helps Hillary Clinton get into office and then she gets a job and a promotion and she vacates that seat and then all of a sudden we can run? What is the best policy to get rid of bad politicians on the Democratic side? Because the Republican Party, they've already given their motto since 2010. If you don't go along with their conservative values, they will primary your ass. But here we are trying to play politics as usual, trying to have respect and loyalty to a politician in office, regardless of the things that they've done that are anathema to our ideology and our beliefs. 857-600-0518. I want you to join the conversation. So yeah, this is a big conversation about Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Not only does she need to step down from the DNC, she also needs to get primaried successfully, and Tim Canova needs to be the next U.S. representative from the 23rd district of the great state of Florida. All right, let me hit a couple of other things before I run out of time here. I want to talk about Terry McCullough next. Let me talk about him because I have to save Dylan Roof for the end. Terry McCullough is the Democratic governor of the state of Virginia. He is underneath federal investigation. Virginia Democratic Governor Terry McAuliffe is this is reporting from CNN, is the subject of an ongoing investigation. FBI and prosecutors from the Justice Department Public Integrity Unit. The investigation dates at least far back as a year ago and has focused on whether donations to his gubernatorial campaign violated the law. Part of the investigation scrutinizes McAuliffe's time as a board member of the Clinton Global Initiative. And in particular, they are looking at a donation of $120,000 from a Chinese businessman through his U.S. business. This same Chinese businessman, Wang Winglang, also pledged to donate $2 million to the Clinton Foundation. Virginia has had a problem with elected officials not only being under investigation, but actually getting indicted as well as being convicted. You remember that Bob McDonnell was the Republican governor. He has been convicted in over $175,000 in loans and gifts received from a donor friend. So, you know, we have to watch this story and see how the investigation unfolds. But the connection, obviously, the method that Hillary Clinton's Hillary for America and the Hillary Victory Fund, as I outlined, how they're fundraising, giving the impression that over only 1% of the money raised out of $320,000 is going to go to Hillary Clinton and the rest of the money is going to go to the state Democratic parties, when in the reality it is over 60% that goes to Hillary Clinton and the rest that is going to the state or to the national party. So these types of tactics that we are now endorsing and we're supporting and we're allowing if we mean anything that we talk about getting money out of politics, we have to be the ones leading the way. He has not been indicted. He is under investigation. So this can prove to be nothing, but we got to get out of the idea that it's okay that when we do it, that if somebody on our side is raising money, that it won't corrupt them, because money corrupts everything. All right, let's take this call. Let's take this caller right here. And sorry, caller. Okay. Lost that caller. Sorry, reading some notes here from our producers. I want to talk about, there we go. Let's put him back on the line. Here we go. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, David, come on.
Hey, Bryce, what's happening, man?
Doing good. So I don't want to go off topic, but what's your opinion about this Louisiana law that they're trying to pass?
I'm sorry, I couldn't really hear you. Say that again for me, Bryce.
All right. Well, what's your opinion of the law that Louisiana is trying to pass, the Blue Lives Matter thing?
You know what? I've been staying away from that a little bit. I am not quite ready to talk about that, only because it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things. It's the value. It goes directly to what Eddie Glaude Jr. was talking about, the value gap, and how black lives are valued less than other lives in America, and their willingness to use the Blue Lives Matter law and to make a hate crime out of anyone that they can claim is targeting police officers would be a hate crime. And the vague definition of this really opens the door for them to suppress any type of action to protest police officers, down to it's such a broad reaching law that it is clearly has authoritarian overtones. So I have a lot to say about it, but I'm just going to do probably a standalone video on that, Bryce. So let me circle back to you on that, only because it's kind of a big fish to fry. So apparently we had a connectivity problem, and so we're back live now on YouTube. So sorry about the connectivity problem. Thanks for your patience. And so let's talk about Dylan Roof. And Dylan Roof is and his picture is on the screen now. He is the 20-something-year-old psycho who, and actually, let me take that name. He's a 26-year-old, 23-year-old now, young man who went into Mother Emanuel AME in Charleston, South Carolina, and he killed 9 people, attempted to kill 3. Attorney General Loretta Lynch said today that they are going after the death penalty for Dylan Roof. For a total of the 33-count federal indictment, concluding the 9 murders, 3 attempts, and multiple firearm offensive. The justification is because of their race, that Dylan Roof targeted these people because of their race, and in order to interfere with their exercise of religion. They are seeking the death penalty. He was charged in last July on hate crime charges, and there you have it. Dylan Roof, if he's found guilty, he could be facing the death penalty depending on sentencing. But I don't really want to talk about Dylan Roof as much as I want to talk about the people that he killed. Pastor Clementa Pinckney, he was 41 years old. Tywanza Sanders, a young man who was sharing the Bible study on Instagram right before he was killed, 26 years old. Reverend Sharonda Coleman Singleton, 45 years old. Cynthia Hunt, 54 years old. Reverend Daniel Simmons, 74 years old. Myra Thompson, 59 years old. Daphne Middleton Doctor, 49 years old. Ethel Lee Lance, 70 years old. And Susie Jackson, 87 years old. These are the people that Dylan Roof killed. These are the people that Dylan Roof went and joined in a Bible study, sat there for over an hour, participated, because one thing I know about black churches, if you're there, you're going to participate, right? Especially in a small setting. He probably read a scripture. He probably sang a song with them. He sat there for an hour contemplating whether or not he was going to kill those people. And he came out later on and he said that he originally thought that he wasn't going to do it because the people there were so nice to him. And yet, instead of acknowledging the love that he received, he returned with the most violent expression of hate that we've seen in a long time. Yet and still, I'm going to be honest with you, I oppose the death penalty, even in the case of Dylan Roof. Not out of mercy, not out of forgiveness, none of that. Nope. Just simply out of the fact that I don't believe the U.S. government or any government should be in the business of executing their citizens or exacting revenge against their citizens, state-sanctioned murder, particularly because we get it wrong so many times. And when we get it wrong with people of color. And it's very difficult. I'm actually having this conversation with you as I'm having it in my head. It's very difficult to look at a person like Dylan Roof who did something as downright hateful and spiteful and malicious as he did and try to apply that same principle to say, if I don't support the death penalty, I don't support the death penalty. This is one of the most difficult ones for me to ever say that I don't support the death penalty for. Because of all people, in my natural state and my natural inclination is fry the son of a bitch. That's my natural inclination. But if we open that door, we are going to continue to justify or underscore, basically support when they do it to people incorrectly, when they execute people wrongfully. And how many cases have we seen? There was a man who asked Hillary Clinton about the death penalty in the debate. He had been on death row for almost 30 years for a crime that he was later exonerated. And yet you still have people who are willing to support the death penalty. And they're going to use cases like this to try to keep you supporting the death penalty. But never mind the times when we get it wrong. Never mind the moral quandary where we are supporting state-sanctioned murder. So yeah, even a person like Dylan Roof, not because out of love, because, you know, I'm sure I can put the love aside, not out of forgiveness, because, you know, I know how not to be a good Christian. I can just never forgive him for what he did if I chose to, right? It's not out of anything like that. It's out of the simple fact that we as Americans, we have executed so many people that have been innocent, and we find out after the fact. And in what position are we in as a nation to bring moral judgment against any of our citizens, considering our past? Let him sit in jail for the rest of his life so that he can realize just how long of a life he had in front of him. All right, I'm going to stop there because I was actually going to refer to some activities in jail that could help. Anyway, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm trying my best, people. As you can see, I'm trying my best to be above the fray. It's difficult. It is very difficult to face yourself when your inclination wants to take you down the road that is opposite of the ideas that you espouse. Right? What about all those people who, there's a lot of people who are for economic populism until they get a large enough paycheck to be like, wait a minute, let's hold off on these tax rates hikes. You know, there's people who believe the things they say until they put in a position where it actually crosses over their intersection and their problem. And then you find out maybe they don't really believe what they said they believed all this time. Consistency is a very difficult thing to do. And I'm just trying to practice it here because I can tell you in one breath, I can sneeze and probably say, fry him, kill him. He deserves it. But it's very difficult for me to just be consistent and say I'm opposed to the death penalty because we get it wrong so many times. Yes, we would get it right with this bastard, but we get it wrong so many times, and it's an institution that needs to be brought to an end in America in general, period. We don't have the moral authority to execute anyone in America, considering all the things that we've done. So let them grow up. Let him grow up and realize just how long life could have been for him. Let's take this last caller, and then I'm going to get out of here. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hi, it's John from Mississippi.
John, my dude from Mississippi. What's on your mind, man?
Just listening to your last comments there. And one thing that's kind of bothered me for a while is that, and it's not just in America, but it's heavily prevalent in America, and it's kind of human nature in that we don't see, just like we have a problem with scapegoating, there's another problem that's pretty deep in that we seek out retribution more than we do accountability. And we don't bother to separate the two.
Break that down for us. It sounds like you got a nice little piece of thought right there. Break that down.
Well, because, you know, like, what is the purpose of government? Like, how does it benefit society? It benefits society by acting as arbitrator between conflicting parties so that things can be resolved peacefully. But when you talk about execution, you're not doing that. You're using it as an arm to inflict your morality on someone else to the point that you're physically harming them. And I think it kind of violates a core part of us, a core part of our psyche when we do that. And it causes a lot of internal conflict, you know, both in how we treat each other and beyond.
I agree with you. It does present it presents a problem. It presents. It's a great challenge. Thanks for the call, man. And let me just the challenge is that it's easy for us to seek revenge, and for us to want to use the arm of the law to extract that revenge. It's easy, and it appeals to our base nature, right? It's in us. It's the natural inclination is to get revenge. And most of us can sit back when it isn't something that touches our doorsteps and be progressive. And that's really what I'm talking about, is that it's easy to be progressive when it doesn't affect you. It's easy to be anti-war. It's easy to be anti-death penalty when it doesn't directly affect you. But when it directly affects you, or when it gets close enough to you where you can literally put yourself in that position and see the scene. I know, I've never been to that church, but I know what their Bible study hall looks like. I know exactly about the wood paneling that's on the walls in the basement. I know about the mismatched chairs that go around the table. I know exactly what the pastor probably was wearing compared to what he wears on a normal Sunday. I know the mother, the woman who was 87 years old, the people who are in their 70s, and I know them in the sense that I've been in those exact seats, those mismatched chairs. I've been there. I know them. I know the love they showed Dylan Roof, and I know the amount of hate that is required to kill people like that after they express that amount of love to you. So when it comes close to your doorsteps, you have to ask yourself the question, can I still be true to what I believe? Now, if you just believe in the death penalty, this is easy for you, right? If you don't have a problem with the death penalty, this is easy for you. But when you consider the number of people that we execute incorrectly, you have to consider the fact that it's an institution that needs to come to an end. And if we're willing to support it for somebody as worthy of death as Dylan Roof, then we are we're supporting it for people who are innocent. That's a difficult challenge. It's not easy to be true to what you believe, but I'm trying my best. Maybe if I caught him on the streets, maybe maybe it'll be something else. But in terms of our government should not be in the business of executing people. One, because we don't have the moral ground to stand on. And two, we get it wrong so many times. And when we get it wrong with people of color. Look at the Supreme Court just this week. Just this week, overturned a decision, a death penalty case because of the jury was all white. Right. Look at how many different ways we can get it wrong based on race. Right. We can get it wrong based on gender. We can get it wrong based on class. And people can get off based on their economic privilege. So there's so many factors that go into play into this that I believe that if we support it for one, we're actually doing ourselves a disservice in supporting it for all. So even though I can completely immerse myself into the basement of Mother Emanuel Church, and I can see the people, I can tell you a lot of stuff about them. Because that's the type of environment that I grew up in. Right. And I can identify with the 26-year-old who was trying to do something positive and trying to do something to help the pastor build the church. And he was tweeting out. He was on Instagramming pictures directly from Bible study right before he was killed. I can relate with them enough to feel anger over this. And so the question remains, once it crosses your intersection, are you going to be true to yourself? Are you going to let your anger take over you and let that dictate how you behave, or let that dictate how you support policies from your government? Because I can't promise you I would be the better man if I saw Dylan Roof in real life. I will just say that in terms of our federal government, that's a business that we need to get out of because of every reason that I outlined so far. Folks, I have not taken a moment to tell you about the show. We are streaming on iHeartRadio, or I'm sorry, you can catch a recording of this on iHeartRadio at the end of the show. It would be there. Of course, we're on iTunes, we're on Spreaker, we're on Stitcher. Anywhere that you can get a podcast, you can get it there. After the internet radio show ends, it is archived in at least 10 different places. Make sure that you subscribe, follow, click the subscribe button at the bottom. Make sure that you share, make sure you spread the word about the Benjamin Dixon Show. If you like what you see and you see what you like, I want you to go over to patreon.com/the BPD Show and become a patron. I want to thank 2 patrons that came on board tonight, but I don't have enough time to pull up your names. I saw somebody, his name was Benjamin. Benjamin, thank you for pledging right before the show started. There's another, I think it was Alex. Alex, thank you so much for your pledge. Even if you're only pledging $1, support the Benjamin Dixon Show. We're getting close to 10,000 subscribers. I think we'll definitely be there, if not by the end of this week, by next week. So we're going to have a little celebration when we hit the 10,000 mark. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers on Spreaker, and we're over 12, 14,000. I don't know where we are on Twitter. It's growing, and it's only growing because of you. I cannot do it without you. So support the Benjamin Dixon Show. I got home extremely late last night. I'm still on 3 hours of sleep. Traffic in Boston, even right now, is backed up. So that means I need to play this closing music and get the hell out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog, join the Progressive Army, and support the Benjamin Dixon Show. It's Ben Dixon! If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Consider becoming a Patreon. Go to www.patreon.com/the BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.